This guy is very cute. These are pretty common, and they nest around here. You can hear them in Hopkins Park, down along the river, or other places around the county that are like cattail marshes, or even brushy areas around water. This is the common yellow throat. And when a bird has the word common in its name, that doesn't mean that there's a lot of them. It means that you can find it over a wide-ranging area within the United States. So normally we think of common, I mean, it means, you know, you think of common meaning you see them all the time, or common sort of as a derogatory term to mean like, well, that's just a common phrase, like that's not what educated people would say. But I learned a new meaning for the word common, meaning it's found over a wide area. So here's another warbler. These are all the same bird. The one that's dull colored is the female. And in May, the males are really bright because they're trying to impress the ladies. And they're singing a lot, and they're hanging out in very picturesque trees with blossoms on them, and photographers get very excited when they find something like this and get good photos. The top two are by a friend of mine from Rockford named Mary Kay. You can see her name on them. She actually took me to a tree in my yard. She lives in Rockford, and I knew that she would love to get photographs of this bird, and so I called her up and I said, there's a Cape May warbler in my flowering apple tree. She goes, I'll be right there. 40 minutes later, luckily the bird was still there and she had those pictures. But seeing that bird led me to another series of work of all different species of warblers. This is the drawing for Cape May warbler. And I had been doing a lot of these things that were they weren't scientific. I mean, they were scientific for me. They weren't really field guide types of images, but they were very much about precision, and that you could look at this picture and go, oh, that's a X bird and not anything else. So I was really, that to me was very important, was being able to draw with that sense of accuracy without sacrificing, though, a sense of liveliness. So, hence I started on these drawings because this allowed a little more of my intuition and a little more gestural kind of expression than my notebook types of drawings. So this is a big collage of the Cape May warbler, just different types of drawing styles, and trying to then convey something of the richness of my experience seeing these birds. Here's my interpretation of a bird called a black-throated blue warbler. Whoever came up with bird names was not very creative, I have to say. But they were accurate, and I suppose that's helpful. Most of them are named after physical attributes. Now this one, though, this is called the Kentucky warbler, and why it's called the Kentucky warbler, when you can find them in about 30 of the 50 states. But the first one they found in Kentucky, so they decided to name it after the state of Kentucky. What this bird doesn't know that it's called that, it doesn't care. It's not offended. So there's a combined woodcut and pictures I cut out of an old encyclopedia that I got at a thrift store, and all kinds of different ways of drawing and making marks and using color. Two more. Also warblers, there's that common yellow throat on the right, and the bird on the left is called a bay-breasted warbler, kind of similar to that chestnut-sided, but a little bit different. So I liked the series quality of this notebook I had done, so I was trying to think about what's another type of series that would help me to convey the sense, the depth, and the richness of all the birds I've gotten to know in the past 10 years, just living in Illinois. And so I decided to make a series of 12 drawings, one for each month of the year, and to put in it the birds that I associated with that month. So the difficulty is that some birds, like crows, are here all year round. So you can put them in any of the months, they are around all the time. So I tried to focus on the birds that were migrating at certain times, or the birds that were nesting. In June, most of migration is over for birds, and they start really nesting. So all these birds are birds that will be making nests around DeKalb County someplace. So there's June, here's January, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anybody, and that I got evenly distributed across the whole 12 months So I made a series. What you're seeing on the left side of each of these slides is a sketch on newsprint with pencil of just which birds were going to go where. And you can see how I kind of would change my mind a little bit about some of the details about what would go where when I went from the sketch to the drawing on colored paper. These are probably 11 by 17 inches, just to give you an idea of the scale. And I knew that I was going to be scanning these and printing them out because the archival inkjet prints are of such good quality now, and I started doing that with my sketchbook. So since I figured I was going to be doing that, I decided that I would drop in these, make it a little more poster-like, and I didn't want to have to draw, this part by hand. So this is like a little Dover clip art book of old 19th century banners and signs. And I got a friend who was better at, Adobe Illustrator than me to do the text on there. And here's just a couple more for February. And there's a lot of, the best thing to do in February is go to a big lake and look for gulls and strange ducks that might be around. And actually, the red-winged blackbirds start coming back as early as February. And then after I did all the 12 months for Illinois, and it was about 200 birds total with all of them, I started making them, I would be like at a little art sale or something, and somebody would go, "Oh, we have a house in Florida. Have you ever been drawing about Florida?" And I'd go, "Well, gee, I have, but that's an excellent idea." And I still haven't done Florida, but I did go to Oregon a couple of years ago, where I'd never been before. And so I made 2 drawings about Oregon. They have puffins out there. They have a different kind called a tufted puffin. It's got these cool, little tufts of hair that hang down. So you can see them in Oregon. You can see these pelicans, bald eagles, all kinds of different things. I mean, here's a great blue heron just like we have here, but you see a lot of them in Oregon too, so I stuck him in there too. How did that change without me knowing? Oh well. So here, let me get this thing out of here. So this is me traveling again, going down to Costa Rica, which for a bird watcher is a pretty cool place. There's as many bird species in Costa Rica, which is as there are Costa Rica is the size of West Virginia, okay? And there are as many different species of birds in Costa Rica as there are in all of North America. So in other words, there's great diversity down there. And so I knew that one of my favorites, I knew I was going to go down there, and I did my homework, and one of the things I was most excited to see was this bird called a mott-mott. And so the first night, I got there at night, and I woke up really early. I probably didn't sleep, actually, but as it was starting to get light, I'm looking out the window, and I'm seeing this thing, and I can see the tail with these weird little rackets on the end of the tail. I'm like, holy crap, that's a mott-mott. It was the first thing I saw down there. And as it got lighter, this is what I saw. And they were nesting, a pair of them were nesting in the yard of the people I was staying with. So it was just their common, around the yard bird. And they actually groom their tails so that they have those rackets at the end. And if they're really good at it, a female will want to mate with them.
Oh, you're kidding. They don't grow that way?
They don't grow that way. They have to do it themselves by grooming.
That's heritage.
And if they're not good at it, they remain naturally. So here's a closer look at a blue-crowned mott-mott. Really an amazing bird. And so I am completely geeked out the whole time in Costa Rica because I'm seeing these amazing birds all over the place. Hummingbirds of all different kinds. Really amazing. Some of these are also a trip that I took down to Trinidad. Just really incredible birds. This is a bad photo, but I put it in here. Let's see if I can get my little pointer guy. Yeah, this guy. Okay, so here's his little tiny beak. This dude is, 3 inches tops. Tiny bird. Here's his little pink bill. He's got this great big red mohawk. And then these are actually feathers. These are like a bow tie that he can either flex so that they're held back against his body, or he can actually spread them out so that they're perpendicular to his body. And once again, the ladies really dig this. And so they have all these black dots are actually iridescent green little dots. And so if the sunlight hits them, they flash green. Amazing bird. It's called a tufted coquette, and there's parrots living down there, which we all know from people's houses, but they actually live like in the trees and stuff down there. That's where they're from. This dude on the bottom is like the size of a sparrow. So just try to imagine a parrot the size of a sparrow, and you about pass out from the cuteness overload of seeing this little tiny parrot. And you're like, oh my God, it's a baby parrot. It's like, no, that's as big as they're going to get. So it's actually called a parrot net. Here's just another incredible Costa Rican bird, the golden-hooded tanager. So, yeah, I mean, if you live in Costa Rica, all you have to do is get like a crappy old piece of wood and nail some bananas to it, and one of these guys will show up. Why we're all still living in Decal and not out there is beyond me. Just amazing.
What is this?
This is called a red-headed barbet. And they're not widespread, but if you're in the right sort of, eco zone, these birds are not totally uncommon. And like I said, they can be, this is somebody's house. And he went out and nailed some bananas to like a wood in one of these things. Yeah. Makes you glad you're not a banana. This dude could like destroy an entire banana. I don't know how he did it. The banana is twice as big as him. And he like ate an entire banana. It was so cool. So there's toucans of all different kinds that live down there and are surprisingly agile. I thought, this poor bird has this enormous, weird-ass beak. You can't possibly get it. How can he eat anything with this enormous, clumsy beak? And they're amazingly dexterous. And they eat plenty. And this guy, check this out. He's like the nest. Oh, there, on to the next one again. He's nesting in, this is like part of the tree that's broken off. And I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden this dude pops out. That's pretty cool. This is kind of like a duck, kind of like a cross between a duck and a heron, I suppose. It's called a sun bittern. And I actually saw this guy. This is another one I saw in the books, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to see one of these. It's just way too cool. And not only did I see one, if you see one and it's just standing there, it's really not that impressive. It just looks like a brown and gray duck. But then it does this, or it flies, and you see this pattern in its wings, which is just magnificent. Completely hidden from view most of the time. And then all of a sudden you get this flash of brilliance that it's got hidden on its wings. These are totally common down there. These are birds called honey creepers. And I saw my first one of these while my wife and her sister were in a video store trying to find out what kind of pirated Costa Rican videos you could get for 50 cents each.
Anything you want.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I went outside to see if there were any birds around, and one of these guys was in the tree, and I was like, this is way cooler than pirated videos. Even birds that are black and white down there are really cool. The one on the bottom is called a white-bearded mannequin, and the one on the top is white-headed marsh tyrant. So, I'm sure it has written many letters to the editor about its name. There's a bird in Costa Rica that I don't have a picture of. There's a lot of birds called tyrants. And there's a little bird called the least pygmy tyrant. And I thought, man, what did he have to do to deserve that?
Pygmies will tell you.
Yeah. I'm almost done, I promise. This is Oropendulas, a couple different kinds. You can tell by the leaves.
Nests.
And those are their nests. They make these big hanging nests. And they can do a 360 on a branch. They just start to fall forwards, but they hold onto the branch with their feet. And they swing all the way around, and then they come back up again on the next side. And the whole time they do that, they're making this bubbling, whistling, squirting kind of noise.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, they're very cool. And even in the rain, they're cool. But I they're so muscular and agile, and they're just so alive all the time. I mean, every bird is. I think that's what really attracted me. There's so much life. Every one of these things just embodies so much life force. So these are my drawings from Costa Rica of some of the birds that I saw down there. And a couple from Trinidad. And that's it. There's another bird that's becoming invisible because it's camouflaged. This one is called a brown creeper. And one of the reasons I live in the house I do now is it was on the market, and I kept walking past it to look at it to think about whether I wanted to live there or not. And when I would walk past it, it was winter time, and these guys come down here in the winter. They actually, for them, flying south means coming to DeKalb, which is really pathetic, but that's their lot. And they poke around in tree bark for little things to eat, like hibernating spiders and stuff like that. And they walk up and down tree bark. That's why they call them creepers. And they look just like tree bark, so unless you catch one at the side or hear one, they make a sound that's kind of like a golden crowned kinglet. But anyway, there was one of these birds on the tree in the yard of his house, and I was like, all right, I'll buy this one. It's got a creeper in the tree.
Better than having to live in that store.
Yeah, right. There's enough creepers. We need some more creepers. So anyway, thank you very much for your attention.